Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Danny here. Today I'm talking to you about Westwood Vibrato. So Westwood Vibrato is written by In-Won Yoon and drawn by Soon-Hee Kim. In-Won Yoon might sound familiar. This is the person that did Blade of the Phantom Master as well as Burning Hell, the previous two monos that we talked about. This ran from 2011 to 2012, a total of 44 chapters broken down into 3 seasons. And of course, this is on Webtoons, published by Tokyo Pop, all that good stuff. And it stars our main character, Cornelia, and she owns a repair shop in South Africa, and mainly for musical instruments. And we're going through her daily life there as she comes and meets new customers to repair their instruments. And one of her hobbies while she repairs instruments or gets to know the customers more is to hear their story of what this specific instrument means in their lives and what led them here. And that's how it is for the first half of the series. We ease more into actually going through the daily life of Cornelia as we meet a bunch of other characters. The love interest, Alan, she has a pet penguin, Cuckoo, and all of the other supporting cast that comes in. When I'm going into these webtoons for the Superstring universe, I am going in blind for the most part. All I have is just a note of what's the next series in the timeline. And when I started reading this, big surprise was, oh, Cornelia that owns a musical instrument repair shop in South Africa. Oh, this character actually showed up in Terror Man. So this is a spin-off of this character. And this series is taking place before the events of Terror Man. So by the time we get to her in that series, all of this has already happened. Now, there is some gap in the timeline in the end of Westwood Vibrato, and when we meet her again in Terror Man, and, there is a certain question of what's going on. I think in Terror Man, she's just there to be there, right? So, she's the connection that they need to help finishing this new equipment for our main character in Terror Man. And we don't really get a whole lot of depth with her other than that she has a personal connection with, I forget his name, but the tech guy for the Mingwu's team. And here, we get more exploration about her character. The art is very shoujo-esque. The colors also complement that very well and really puts more emphasis on our characters and what we're going to be expecting with this series, especially with Cornelia. When we get her in Terror Man, it's really just surface level stuff. Like you could tell she doesn't like her past, which we get to explore here just a bit. And that's all we pretty much knew about her as a character. And then coming in here, she's a lot more enjoyable, more happy, vibrant with life as, she gets to sit down and really touch the lives of her customers as they're going through trauma and dilemmas. And she's there to give them advice as well as, play some fantastic music. Towards the end of these chapters, it would say a specific song that was playing. The customers that do come back and play the instruments at the end, they're playing that song. Yes, like I said, Cornelia, she's a fun character. As we explore more of her past, we can understand all the hardships she's gone through and how she became the character who she is now, as well as seeing why she makes herself distance towards certain characters later down the line and how she comes to conclusions about, I guess I can't do this because of my life. Because, we got the background with her when she was a child in Africa and explore a lot of, the traumatic stuff that happens in that country with, kid soldiers and just the constant forces of the rebels fighting the government. And, there's a lot of that in play here. And I think that's the cool thing about this series. It's to really show a lot about that, and as well as some of the cultural stuff that we see very early on. One of the first arcs is with this little girl with a saxophone, and, she's going through those hardships currently. It's a very reflective, it reflects a lot of the current situation over there at the time of when this was written and all that. The humor is good pacing overall. and a lot of likable characters, and also just typical lighthearted situations. You know, it doesn't really get too deep with our customers that she gets. There are some really good ones that can get pretty deep and emotional. Like there was one story where she was helping fix this saxophone for this mountain climber, and we get through his backstory and how emotional it could be and stuff. Like there's a lot of good grounded stuff there, but majority of the time it's very lighthearted until we hit the end of season 2, start of season 3, where we actually get deeper into her life and her love interest Alan, and seeing the, I guess you could say, typical shoujo drama for adult characters. When I say shoujo, I mainly think of high school drama and all of that, but since these are adults in the adult world, there's, you know, heavier stuff to get in there. And it still feels shoujo because it's a little over dramatic, almost like, you know, soap operas or novellas, if you will. So overall, I think it was a good time. You know, you're here for the stories, for the characters. And then as you grow to like Cornelia more is when the shift changes from learning about stories of other people to learning about her story specifically, and you investing your time to see where she's going to go moving forward. And the final chapter, there's really no epilogue. It just sort of ends with a big happy moment, but we don't really get details of what's coming, right? Or an idea of what the rest of her story is from there, right? As typical epilogues do. But we do know where she ends up in the future, as we see her show up very rarely in Terror Man. But again, that's very surface level stuff. So for her story, it was a nice wrap up on the last chapter. I just wish we got a little more. And the pacing at the end was also a little bit rushed. I think just because we were nearing the end, and season 3 was the shortest out of the first 2. Overall, I had a good time with this series, you know, considering going in blind and then, you know, understanding where we're going in here. It was a nice, enjoyable, light read in between a bunch of crazy stuff that the rest of this Super String universe has to offer. So that's all I really have to say today, guys, about Westwood Vibrato. Have you guys checked it out? Would love to hear your thoughts. You can send us an email, unversepodcast@gmail.com, if you have any questions or comments. And we'll sure to bring it up on the next episode. You can follow us anywhere on social media at Unverse Podcast, and we'll let you know when those episodes drop. So thanks, guys, and we will catch you on the next one.